All right, so we are in Algebra 2. Today's date is Wednesday, March 27th, 2019. Make sure that you have the date and your name on the paper. We are on our second lesson for Unit 7, talking about exponents again. There are only two rules that you need for today's homework. The first one, anything to the power of 0 is? 1. Good, you know that one. That's solid, we'll be using that. And this one I haven't talked about, but if I have the same base, notice that I have the same base here, the same base here. If I have the same base equal to the same base, then their exponents must be equal to each other. A must be equal to B. Write it down. A has to be B. If these two things are equal and they have the same bases but different exponents, somehow those exponents are actually the same thing. Those are the only two properties we're using. We have one homework assignment tonight. Let's jump right in. Example 1. Something to a power is equal to 1. What am I going to do? I'm using one of these two rules. Try to figure out which rule it is. Quiet raise hand. Who's going to tell me how to do this problem? I see 2 hands. Everyone else be thinking, Geo Hood. I still only see 2 hands. I need to see one more hand. Who's it going to be? Which of the two properties is it going to be? Let's see some more hands. There's another hand. Fiona, go for it. It is the first one. I'm using this property where something to the power of 0 is equal to 1. That means this power must be what, Fiona?
0.
So literally say that is 0. In math we say 12x minus 7 is 0. Is the equal sign, 0 on the right hand side, 12x minus 7 on the left hand side. The only way for this to magically happen is if the power is 0. So Fiona did the first part for us. Let's come over here to here. Chris, you're gone. You should be watching the video. Hi, Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Much love. All right. We have Fiona in. Your card is in, Fiona. Easy XP. Solve this linear equation. This is like first month of Algebra 1. Who's going to do it for us? Only Fiona. Andrea, go for it.
7/12.
It is going to be 7 over 12. If you can skip right to it by doing those steps really, really quick, that is what I'm looking for. We are the elite algebra students, Algebra 2. There it is. X has to be 7/12. Give me a fist of 5 on example 1. I'm only seeing 2 2s and 5s. 1, 2, and all 5s, and actually 1 and 4. All right. Teflon, ask me a question. How can I get your 2 up to a 3 or a 4?
Oh, wait. You asked. Oh, okay, never mind. I understood that.
Okay, so it's also, I guess, how well you understand the question implicitly. Let's do example 2. I'm going to be using one of those two properties. Which of those two properties am I going to be using, and how can I transform this so that I can use that property? I see Fiona's hand. It's like glued to her head. She had glue on her thumb and it was stuck to her head like an antler. Who else knows which property we're using? Eva, go for it.
The second one.
We are using the second property. For the second property to work, we have to have the same base and the same base. We don't care about the powers. We know eventually we're going to set the powers equal to each other, but I do have to have the same base and the same base. So Eva, how am I going to do that? How am I going to have the same base for both of these? Can I somehow rewrite one of them as the other?
Rewrite 16
As? 2
2
to the third is 8.
4.
There it is, 2 to the 4th power. So 2 to the 4th to the power of what? To the power of negative 1/4. There it is. And that's equal to 2 to the 9x minus 7. I am almost ready to use that rule, except these two things need to be reduced into one number. How can I turn these into one number? Another volunteer. Did I give? I did, okay. No, I didn't. Andrea, I was missing you. You should have it in there again, okay. I need to somehow reduce this right-hand side. How many people know how to do that? This is from our rules from yesterday. When I take a power to the power, this is also from the warm-up today. A power to the power, what do I do with these numbers right here? Only Fiona knows. Teflon, go for it. You only add when you have multiplication. So 2 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 3, you add them 2 to the power of 4. But when I'm not multiplying but taking to a power, how do I do that? Power to the power, it's not adding, it is the next level of adding. Multiply, yeah. So multiply these together for us, Teflon. 4 times negative 1/4 is 4 times negative 1/4. These two multiply to 1/4 of a dollar, and I got 4 of those 1/4. 1/4 of the dollar is 25 cents. If I have 4 25 cents, I have $1. 4 25 cents is $1. So what do I have when I multiply 4 times negative 1/4? Negative 1/4. Negative 1, there it is. So this is now 2 to the power of negative 1 is equal to 2 to the power of 9x minus 7. Teflon is in. Her card is now mine. I have collected her. Next, I'm finally using the property. I'm finally using the property. What am I going to do? These two things are only equal if the following is true. Fiona's ready. Any other hands? I don't see one hand out of a classroom of 7. 2 hands out of 7. Fiona, go for it.
9x minus 7 equals -1.
There it is. 9x minus 7 equals -1 because of that second rule. I'm just saying if I have different things up here, with the same base down here, then set their exponents equal to one another.
Shouldn't the 1 be a negative?
It should be -1. Teacher error. Oops. Good catch. All right. Solve this Algebra 1 problem. Who's going to do this for us? Only one person knows how to solve this Algebra 1 problem. 2 people know how to solve this Algebra 1 problem. 3 people. James, go for it.
What?
Solve this Algebra 1 problem. What am I going to do to both sides? Yep, so I'm left with what on the right-hand side then? Positive 6. And then finally, James, I'm going to do what to both sides? By the number in front, the coefficient. And you get x is equal to, yep, which reduces to, divide the top and bottom by 3. 2/3, there it is. Thank you, James. I still need to hear from Gio and Stego before we end the lesson. So Gio and Stego, you're somehow going to be involved in example 3. Which property do we think we're going to be using? The first or the second property? Go for it, Gio. Do you think you're going to be using the first or the second property? Yep, we're going to be using the second one. So somehow I need to write them with the same base. Which base looks easier to you, 3 or 1/81? Let's choose 3 to be our base. Can you somehow rewrite 1/81 as 3? Can you somehow rewrite 81 as 3 to some power? 3 to what power is 81, Gio? Yep, so 3 to the 4th power is 81. There's this other property that I guess you are technically using all the properties today, but in order to solve the main problem, you're using those 2 properties. The other property that you need to know is that if I have 1/2, if I take that to the power of -1, that is now 2/1. It flips the fraction. So I need to flip this fraction. How can I flip the fraction? Someone else. Gio's in. Only one person knows. 1 person out of 7. 2 people out of 7. Fiona, go for it.
Can you flip the exponent?
So it's not the exponent that you want to flip. You have to do some, in order to flip the inside, what do I need to do with the exponent? Notice the exponent here.
Into a negative 1.
Yep, the negative 1. So we have negative 1 to flip it, 4 to get from 3 to 81. Combine those two together, multiply those two together, and it's negative 4. That is probably the hardest type of question I can ever ask. This 1 over 81, right off to the side, 1 over 81 is equal to 1 over 3 to the 4th power. I can now bring this 3 to the 4th power to the numerator by making it negative. So this is 3 to the power of negative 4. Let me get a fist of 5 on how well you understand how I got 3 to the negative 4. Fist of 5. Be honest.
2.5.
What do you got, James? Fist of 5. How well did you understand how to get to 3 to the negative 4, James? Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing 2s, 3s, and 1, 4, I think. All right, and it's just a property that we're going to have to get used to. If I ever want to move a number from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top, just make it a negative exponent. Can you wait for 2 more minutes? We're almost done with this problem, and you still need to participate. It seems like you're almost trying to get out of participating by going to the bathroom. I don't want that to happen. All right, so I am now going to rewrite 1 over 81 as 3 to the power of negative 4. I'm keeping the left-hand side. Don't touch the left-hand side. Left-hand side is still 3 to the power of 4x plus 3. The right-hand side is now 3 to the negative 4 to the power of, because I just rewrote 1 over 81. I still have not used this negative 1/2, so to the power of negative 1/2. All right, Stego, this is you, and then you can go to the bathroom. How do I simplify these powers? I have a power to the power. What do I do to simplify? Yep, multiply, and you get 3 to the power of, careful. So if I have negative 4 over 1 times negative 1 over 2, multiply straight across. Negative 4 times negative 1, 2 times 1, reduces 2. This is 3 to the power of 2. All right, you can go to the bathroom if you want. This is 3 to the power of 2 is equal to 3 to the power of 4x plus 3. I guess I shouldn't say our final step, but that final tricky step is to do what? How do I solve for x? I see one hand. Most people should know how to do this. There's 2 hands, 3 hands, 4 hands out of 6. That's a good ratio. Teflon. 4x plus 3 is indeed equal to 2. Andrea, do you want to solve the rest of it for us? It is indeed negative 1/4. Ask me questions. These are the same types of problems over and over for the homework. It's one of those 2 types. All right, go ahead and write your summaries. Homework is already on Khan Academy. You should be able to finish with time to spare to work on yesterday's homework to ask me more questions.